All right, we are live. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Tuesday Motivation and Conversation. Well, it's just me tonight, and we are going to have conversation. We're just gonna talk. I wanna share some things. I was having a conversation earlier today, and it just really y'all see I'm going through something, this that season of life. So I'm on this journey. What y'all think? Starting a lot journey. So yeah, so we got that going on. So yeah, that's what's happening with the hair. So we got something new going on. And so thanks to those of you who are joining tonight, or for those of you who will be watching this um, on replay. But I want to talk about something tonight that I think is it's practical. It's just practical. It's practical information, and I just want to have a practical conversation about it. And because so oftentimes, and of course, when I'm talking about things like this, these are things that I'm also working my way through myself, and um, looking to determine how I'm going to. I'm trying to make sure that I have access to. In the event there are questions or comments, I can actually chime in. So I want to talk about, I was reading and I want to talk about something that um, I came across and I thought, this is really, really good, right? Um, and the reason why I say it's practical because a lot of times we don't really think about some of the things that are so fundamentally basic. We overthink, and as a result of overthinking, we either underdo or overdo, right? In order to try to get to our goals. And so, particularly for business owners, but this could be for anybody, this could be for your life. This could just be for anything in general. It can, the same principle can be applied. But particularly for business owners, I want to encourage business owners who are small business owners, entrepreneurs. You don't have staff, you don't have employees, and you are in this place of transition, or you're in this place of determining your relevancy and really trying to determine where it is that you want to land. And if you're plus 50, I am definitely talking to you. Um, Reaching our goals takes patience, and it really takes patience at different intervals of life. And after you've gone through some things, and one of the things that's so important is that we have to allow our experiences to be our teacher. And what do I mean by that? When you've gone through things, take the time to assess what has worked well and what has not worked well. And then you want to make sure that you document those things. This is one of the things that I say pretty regularly, especially as of late. We have to be careful that our articulation, our demonstration match up so that we can have manifestation. Because oftentimes we talk one thing, we articulate something totally different from what we're demonstrating. And because we demonstrate something totally different from what we have articulated, then we end up not having manifestation, or the manifestation is off base to what it is that our original goal was. So it's important that you document. And of course, I'm about vision. And so it comes back to, what do you really see for yourself? And so I want to talk a little bit about this thing about self-direction. And there are two components of self-direction that I want to kind of talk about for a few minutes tonight. And that's number one, self-knowledge, and number two, self-preparation. Now, y'all know better to come and on this motivation and conversation without pen and paper. Y'all already know. It's going to be a 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4. And here again, you want to make sure you show it with pen and paper. However, you can go back and watch the replay. I'm just teasing. But seriously, so there are two areas of self-direction that I want to talk about. It's just like I have the course called You Strategy. This coincides, but this is a more basic fundamental approach to getting into the whole You strategy, because you got to determine the direction you're going in first. So self-direction, we got two components of self-direction: self-knowledge and self-preparation. in order to reach our goals, we have to be patient, number one, with ourselves. So much of where we are as individuals, as business owners, is because we are comparing, and we don't realize that we're comparing, because we have an expectation that when we have a vision, we have a goal, and we go take a class, or we go do this, and we go to school, or we get a degree, then by osmosis overnight, we're supposed to be progressively moving forward and having success within 12 months. That is not the case. It requires cultivating and caring for your business, nurturing it, giving it time to grow. You got to figure out what works well, what doesn't work well. You've got to do trial and error, right? It's just like I can't decide tonight that I want to go to Paris and just get up in the morning, go to the airport. It don't work like that. There are a few things that have to, take place. Number one, I got to make sure financially I'm prepared to take that trip. Number two, I got to book a flight because I got to get there. I ain't planning on walking, and I can't drive because it's across the pond. Then I got to make sure that there is a place for me to stay when I get there. So I got to have reservations for lodging. Then I got to make sure that, all of my finances are in place so that I can eat while I'm there. If I want to sightsee, whatever it is that I'm planning on doing, that I can feasibly handle that trip. And then I've got to pack some clothes because I got to have something to wear, right? So there are a lot of things that have to happen. And then I got to make sure I got a passport, because if I don't have a passport, I ain't going nowhere. Right? So you have to make sure that you have all of the things in place. So these and all of the things that I mentioned require time, because if you don't have a passport, you can't go, because you got to go and get a passport, and then there's a processing time before you get one. You don't just go take a picture, fill out some information, and they give you a passport. That's not how it works. So you've got to make sure that your ID is in place. You got to make sure that your finances in place, but you don't just decide in the blink of an eye. Even somebody who has money, I don't care if they have money, that's not going to happen like that. They got to fuel the jet. They got to make sure they got a pilot. They got to make sure that where they're going is feasible for them, unless of course it's a home they have over there. But still, things have to be prepared. You have to plan, which means you have to make sure that you have self-knowledge. That's number one. Self-knowledge is key. And it's important because you got to first know what's happening with you. And not only what's happening with you, but what's happening around you, what's happening in you. How much time do you spend with self-talk so that you can get self-direction? Because in order to get self-direction, there has to be some self-talk. So there's some time that you're talking to self, and there's some time you're talking to God, and then there's some time that God is talking to yourself, and then there's some time that you're listening to what God is saying to yourself. Then you've got to sit down and you've got to analyze all of that. You got to ponder it, you got to consider it, you got to vet it out, you got to tear it apart, you got to turn it upside down, you got to figure out what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, what's good, what's not good, when, how, where. All of this is important. So how much do you know about you? How much self-knowledge do you have? Who are you? What do you like? What works for you? What doesn't work for you? These things are important. And I'm going to tell you what happens a lot of times. We venture into projects, we venture into endeavors, and we don't count the cost. That's Bible. So who builds a house without counting the cost? So that house is representative of anything you set out to do. You first have to determine, what is it going to cost me, not just financially, but what is it going to cost me in time, in resources, right? What is it going to cost my body? What is it going to cost my mental capacity? What is it going to cost me? Self-knowledge. What can I handle? What is my capacity? Right? Because everybody's capacity is not the same. And the capacity you have for one thing is not the capacity you have for another. The grace you have for one thing is not the grace you have for another. So it's important that you take the time to really know, who am I? And really know yourself. Because and then here's the other thing. What kind of self-talk are you doing? Is your self-talk negative or is it positive? Because if you have negative self-talk, you're going to have negative self-direction. But if you have positive self-talk, you'll have positive self-direction. And so for this self-direction, and for this self-direction to be positive, there is some work that you have to do individually, right? So, I title is practical conversation for practical application, right? It's practical. I mean, these are things that oftentimes the simplicity of it all oftentimes gets us, in a knot. It wads up our brain because it's so simple. It's so simplistic that we miss it. Every so often, uh, over time, and I know everybody do this because everything is an app, a subscription, something. So over time, I'll subscribe to this, subscribe to that. It may be $5.99 here, $4.99 there, $7.99, $10.99, whatever the case may be. But after a while, how many of you know that adds up? So periodically, every few months, I have to sit down and I have to count the cost because I may have $100 and some worth of subscriptions, and sometimes it may be more than that. So every so often, I have to sit down and I have to count the cost, and I have to write down everything that I'm paying out. Do I need it? Do I not? Is it important? Is it not? For instance, I have certain apps because when it's basketball season, playoff season, I got to be able to watch my games, right? Now, when it's football season, not a fan. So I ain't got no problem. I can get rid of all of the sports channels because I don't need them, right? What I need to know, I can get it on the app, or I can get it on the internet, right? When basketball season's back in, I'm back in the game because that's where my priorities lie. When I need them, it's important to me. When I don't need to pay for it. And that's with anything. For instance, Prime, Amazon Prime. Get it during the holidays. I'm getting gifts. I need to get them time to get them, distributed, supplies, whatever I'm doing. When the holiday's over, I'm through with Prime. I don't need it anymore. As long as they get it to me within 10 days, I'm good. What is my point? We have to take the time to assess where we are on a consistent basis. We can't just make New Year's resolutions, or when we turn a certain age, on our birthday, we have reflection, and then the reflection goes away. And we forget about life until something occurs, positive and or negative. We have to, in order to continue to progress forward and have self-direction, you have to continue to assess your self-knowledge. And how many of you know that as you mature, as you age, as you grow, your self-knowledge changes because you change. And that's why we have to keep a tab on what's happening to us, in us, through us, around us, and for us. Because if we don't, we'll get blindsided, right? All right. So I'm gonna move on, and I may come back to this next week because this is pretty good. Then there's self-preparation. So for whatever the self-knowledge is that we know, whatever the goal is that we've determined, we have to have self-preparation, which means we have to be ready when opportunities show up. Just like I mentioned the trip as an example. Another example will be if you determine if you're a mother of a woman of childbearing age. If you get pregnant, then that's the time. Once you find out, there are a lot of things you need to do. You need to prepare your body. You need to make sure that you are, getting your OB and making sure that you're getting your appointments so that you can make sure that you're healthy. You're doing the things to make sure that the baby's healthy. You're taking care of your body. Then once you determine everything's kind of on track with your body, then you want to make sure that you're preparing for this new person to enter your family, to enter your life. That person's going to be added to the budget, and they added to the budget before they get here because you have to pay for them to get here, right? So not only paying for them to be born, but you got to pay for clothing and food and, all of these different things. You prepare for that child. You don't just have a baby and then you ain't done nothing. You don't have a crib, you don't have a blanket, you don't have Pampers, you don't have, even if you're breastfeeding, you got to prepare your body in order for that milk to be healthy. So preparation is key. So you have to be ready when opportunities show up. And I say this all the time. Opportunities are not obligated to repeat themselves. And so that's why it's important that we have self-knowledge, because self-knowledge is going to help us to have self-preparation. Are you tracking with me, as they say? Are you in expectation of anything? Do you expect something wonderful to happen to you and for you? Is there anything you're expecting in your life? Because oftentimes we don't receive because we're not expecting. So if we walk in expectation, things can occur. If we expect to be successful, success can happen because we have an expectation of that, which challenges us to have a positive direction and a positive self-focus and a positive self-interest to being sure that we are successful. That means we invest in ourselves. We take the time to do the things that are required to be prepared for the area or the industry for which we want to function. We take the time to be prepared. So you start getting ready. You don't wait until an opportunity shows up and then, oh, well, let me get ready. No, you have to be ready so that you don't have to get ready. Right? So that means you have to stay ready because you never know when an opportunity is going to avail itself. So that means you have to define what your goal is. You got to plan for that goal. You got to make sure that the competence is there. So in the event that there's something that you need to train yourself on or get additional training or learning, coaching, then you want to make sure that you are at that level of competence that you can definitely do what it is that your goal is, your business is, whatever that is. Your area of expertise needs to be sharpened. And you want to make sure that you work on this on a consistent basis. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. I work with all types of clients doing all sorts of things. Your business has to have a foundation. It needs a process by which you work. You have to establish a culture. For me, a culture is an SOP. That's standard operating procedures. But I say it like this. You need your policies, your processes, and your procedures. Your policies are what you do. Your processes are how you do it. And your procedures are the steps you take to get it done. I don't care if you don't have employees. You need a process for how you work, because if you are working with multiple people at the same time, meaning you're seeing more than one client in a week or in a day, how are you managing those clients? The process of how you work with them. You need to have a process. And if you have a process, that helps you to be able to work with multiple people at the same time and at least be able to scale and grow your business as a solopreneur until you can build a team or a staff. It's all about being prepared. And so this positive self-interest is important. And so this comes to also when it comes to what you're establishing as your vision. In that planning process, you have to establish who your readers are, who your runners are, and what your resources are. Because resources are more than just finances. Resources also include people. You have to know who the people are, and you have to have the right person in the right place doing the right thing at the right time. That's important. Because if you don't, it will reflect in your progress and then the success of what it is that you're doing. So these are a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about when it comes to self-direction. You have to have self-knowledge and you have to have self-preparation. And again, I have a course called the You Strategy that talks about once you get this piece settled, then you got to have five components. Five components. That is, you got to know what your availability is, your accountability, responsibility, manageability, and sustainability. Why is that important? You got to know how much time you have available to do what it is that you set out to do. You need to be accountable to something or someone in order to have consistency with what it is that you're doing. You have to be responsible to yourself and for yourself for this business, for this project, for this goal, whatever it is, you have to be responsible for it. And then you have to determine how you're going to manage it. Right? You're going to have to determine how you're going to manage that, because being able to manage it, meaning you're not taking too much, then you don't want to be overwhelmed. You don't want to take on more than you can handle, right? Because if you do that, then you can't have number 5, sustainability. So definitely go to bridgetmoody.com, online courses, on the online courses tab, and you can take that course at any time. It's an evergreen course. It's self-paced, and there's plenty of information there to help you establish your You strategy, because everyone is unique and everyone's vision is unique to them, and everybody's direction is unique to their self-knowledge and their self-preparation. So I hope this was helpful to you. Before I close tonight, definitely go back and watch it, but I want to share a few things with you. If you're in the DFW Metroplex, I am Vice President and Overseer of Programs for the Collin County Black Chamber of Commerce. And so we are having a business expo this Saturday, March 25th 2023, here in Collin County, 6600 Chase Oaks Boulevard, Plano, Texas. You can go to my page and see information. You can go to Collin County Black Chamber of Commerce and also get information. And you can go to ccblackchamber.org/events and you can register. It's going to be an amazing event and it's going to be really beneficial for aspiring business owners and business owners, especially if you are a business owner who is looking to gain contracts on the state and or government federal level. And if you are interested in how to qualify, what is required to qualify for certifications and go through the procurement process. So the SBA, which is a Small Business Administration, is going to be on site. The MSDC, which is the Minority Supplier Development Council, and also the Minority Board Agency is going to be, Development Agency is also going to be, Business Agency is going to be on site. That's the Minority Business Development Agency is also going to be on site, and they're going to be sharing information. The certification manager and the federal contracts and procurement manager will be on site. They're going to be doing seminars and really sharing some amazing information. So you want to make sure if you are in the area, in the DFW Metroplex, that you go and register for that event. It's only $25 to participate. And there's some vendor spaces if you're a business owner and you'd like to display your business. So we'd love to have you to be a part of the chamber. Now, on to the next thing that's happening in April. A couple of things. Number one, I'm going to be launching the Vision Management Coaching and Mentoring Program. So for those of you that this resonates with you, you have a vision or you are an aspiring business owner and you're trying to get your vision documented and vetted and a plan of action put with it, and you need help, you need someone to help talk you through that, you need mentoring, you have questions, this is the program for you. The program is only $29. Now, for those of you who, if you register and subscribe to this program, it's $29 for as long as you desire to be a part. This is the first cohort, the first group. I don't know if I'm going to, based on how many people sign up, I don't know when I'm going to do another one. So when the enrollment opens, that's going to be it for right now. So I don't know when it will open again. So whatever that number is, that's who, unless of course my number is reached. I have a number, of course, that's my cap, because this is a time that I want to spend with individuals who are sincerely trying to develop and craft the thing that they're trying to do, the vision that's tied to their purpose and their calling, and they're trying to get clear on it. They want to be sure about the direction they're going in. They want to make sure that they have it documented. They want to make sure that they have a plan of action for it. I mean, people who are serious about their vision. That vision could be a business, that vision could be a book, that vision could be a ministry. Whatever it is, I want people that are serious about what it is that they're doing. I'm not coming to play. I'm coming to give you what it is that God's given me. And I think it is for this season and this time. So I'm inviting you, if that's you, to be a part. Go to bridgetmoody.com/mentoring. It's on my social media platforms, and you can go to the website and you can read about the benefits of it, how it's going to flow. And then, of course, there's a wait list that's been established. So you'll be the first to get the opportunity to reserve your space. And then it'll be open up to the public for anyone else who wants to register. So if you are interested in that resonates with you, that's something that you need assistance with. That's my gift. That's my calling. That's my area. And so that's where I want to spend time with people who are serious about their vision and establishing a plan of action and who need help developing and growing that. So that's coming up. And then for those of you who are planning to be with me for the Her Texas Award, for the Entrepreneur Award, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And so for those of you who want to register, you can find that information as well on my social media platforms. So that's my time tonight. I hope that this motivation and conversation was helpful for you. And it made you think about some things just from a practical perspective. It's just like this journey I'm starting with this whole natural hair. And I had to get my mind right for it, number one. And number two, just thinking about the benefits. I had to do some self-knowledge. I had to just talk myself through some things. And then the other thing is that there's a phase through here, that I have to be patient until the hair gets to where it needs to get to. It has to be trained. It has to be, nurtured and taken care of. And I have to do all the little things. And it's a different process from any other hair maintenance that I've done in the past. So even with something as simple as my hair, it's a journey that I'm starting on. And so there's a process that goes with that. And so knowing my hair, how my hair works, one side's longer than the other, and all this other stuff, the texture of my hair, what's required, the maintenance. So there are a lot of things that go into it. So what am I saying? It's practical information for practical application. Just like we had a practical conversation for practical application. So I hope this has been beneficial for you, and I hope that it has been helpful. Go back, listen to it again. I know I talk fast sometimes, but grab a pen and paper and catch those notes. But listen, I'm going to start another round of guests in April. So if that's you and you would like to be a part of Motivation and Conversation, reach out to me at info@bridgetmoody.com, and I'll definitely get back to you. Would love to have you on. There's some people that I'm going to be rounding up. So that'll be happening in April. We'll be back tomorrow on my consulting page on Facebook for realistic thinking. And we're going to be closing that out this month, talking about how's your thinking. So yeah, a lot going on, but we're making it do what it do. All right. But listen, thank you for spending a few minutes with me tonight. And we look forward to seeing you next time right here for Motivation and Conversation. Have a good night.